I'm not really sure what all of you think happiness is. This is the craziest part of all, that you are literally looking at the Kardashians, and then in your mind, because they're Armenian, you ding yourselves and say that that's what happiness is. However, that's not happiness. That's called everybody freaking hates your ass and you live in delusion around some elitist group of spoiled, rotten pieces of crap. And so you just make up stories about what you're learning and what you're doing and who you are, while everyone around you is saying, we want you off the fucking internet. Well, part of that, don't you get that you have to repair the concerns and troubles, especially when you're someone as low class as Demi Moore or any of these people that were on the carpet last night at the Oscars, Millie Bobby Brown, or what the hell her name is. I mean, literally, you are an embarrassment to your country, reminding you that you're not American. You're not American. I don't care if you have a citizenship through marriage or whatever reasoning you did to come to this country to fart all over this nation. You're not an American because you're a Brit. You have an accent. We don't want to watch you. I don't watch movies when you're in movies. Do you get that? You ruin everything that your face is in. You're not a good actress. You're not a good person. And nobody wants to watch you on camera. So then how are we still being forced to look at your ass on a carpet? None of us were interested in the Oscars last night. We weren't interested in influencers. We were not interested in Oscars. However, you're in competition with influencers, none of which are in the space or even close to being what would be considered happiness. Because what you think is happiness is some cloudy, delusional existence of rolling in your cash while you sit across from Alex Earl talking about how much money you have at 25 years old because you sold yourself out to the fucking devil. That's what you all think happiness is. You think money buys happiness. This is a prominent point in what we're watching, is you think being famous, because we used to joke about it when we were in our generation, children. We say, one day I want to be famous. Little did you know what it actually meant to be famous and what kind of responsibility that you would need to take to become famous. And it's definitely not demonstrated in Demi Moore, nor is it demonstrated in any of these women that we're watching on any form of these platforms. And there's been nobody out there except for me to regulate you all with exposing you for who you are, because you came together as a Ponzi scheme of a cult to try to expose me for being truthful and honest about how everybody can't stand you. So they want to twist the words, as I said, and they can't stand you. I want you to feel it, because what they're going to do to you and they're going to do to me is they're going to say they don't like me, but the reality is we don't like them. You're all under an extremism of microscope, not extremist group as in what you all are participating in. No, but an extreme focus in a microscope, meaning the attention is literally looking at you, and not in a way that anybody would ever want attention on them, hammer toes. Not any person on the planet would ever want to have the kind of attention that Vand has on her platform, or any of these influencers have on their platforms. That's what it is called to play the short game in a rich, wealthy happiness game of where exactly is the happiness. From a Pakistani? Because they're accepting what you're saying with no conversation skills or questioning anything that you're up to. However, you're violating every law in natural law to the law and order that are in judicial books within the United States of America. Because for the last 4 years, prior to this last month, we've been participating in a science experience of socialism for Bernie Sanders and AOC. And you thought because they were, in office, that they were going to give you a free ride as you tried out how to abuse American people? I mean, what delusional existence do you live in? Because did you not understand that when a person becomes president or in an office, that eventually their term in office comes to an end, especially when this piece of content, this type of content was regularly being produced in the amounts that I can't even keep track of how much content that I've made. I can't even keep track of how much content that I've made. I don't even know where all my platforms are. I don't even know all of my platforms. I mean, do you remember the videos World Peace Set the Stage? I mean, what happened to that platform that I made thousands and thousands of videos on? Where did that platform go? And then there was the other ones that just kind of disintegrated. I don't even know where those went. That was like 4 or 5 of those. I mean, what did you think was going to happen here, folks? Not to mention the multiple levels of YouTube channels and Instagram pages and Twitter accounts that are literally, I just cannot remember the passcode to get in there. So they're literally just like floating around the platforms, just like kind of out there in the platforms, literally all over the place. Like I made my own bot accounts, but they're not really bot accounts because you're never going to get any response from it because I'm not in the account. You're just going to read the junk that I put out. So you all thought that you behaving badly the way you're behaving was just going to be like what? Brushed under the table so that you could be happy and the rest of us could live in misery because we're not interested in the movies. We're not interested in the music. And it just occurs that way because you're all part of some Ponzi children's scheme. Think about how many people are in a concert at a Taylor Swift concert or a Sabrina Carpenter concert. And then think about the vast global amounts of people. Think about the vast global amounts of people that actually exist on the planet. How many repeat offenders show up at the Taylor Swift concert? Probably most of them are repeat offenders. So you're literally just hanging out with about 80,000 people, and you might think that it sounds like a lot of people that are living in misery, but they are living in delusion of an uplift of we're never getting back together. That's what you think being happy is dogging out some dude that you thought you were in love with, and then he got so sick and tired of you that he broke up with you? And then there's 80,000 of you, and that's all that's in the cult. However, in this country, there's like millions of people. All your relationships in the audience are failing miserably. Your children are miserable because you're too busy looking at Taylor Swift and praising her for her relationship with a football star. You know, like a cheerleader and a football. Literally, she disrupts everything with her presence, just like Van does. Literally, this cut from the same cloth. However, she was supposedly born in Amish country called Pennsylvania. Her father was wealthy. Her mother was wealthy. Her mother tolerated her ass because of industry who was so vile and violent. I mean, let's take a look at the Bieber situation and what that generation offered as a form of happiness. Don't forget about the born into money worship syndrome of Haley Baldwin. What a weird ass, greasy, puffy skinned narcissist. Being a narcissist, to let you know, is not a good thing, and you will never be praised for that shit. Do you hear me? Wild 'N Out. See, Wild 'N Out wants to make excuses as to why he's so selfish. And that's where you all want to take a look. His selfishness is his happiness. His narcissism is his happiness. He's always out to get one over on someone else, to abuse them. And he has how many children? Meanwhile, you bring on Gary Vaynerchuk to fuel your business instead of figuring out a way to fuel your own mental health. Then you're going to spew out narcissism as a new form of your existence. I mean, come on. You literally married Mariah Carey. And what, did you have 2 kids with her that you never even see? And we all know how those 2 are turning out. Not so good, huh? Oh, we tried to look at those 2, but they were so impossible to deal with that we want to make sure that they never show up on big screen television. Oh, you have a big screen television? That's cool. Something to be real proud of. And that's all that brings them happiness. I'm sorry, but when you are in your deathbed and you're only there with your big screen TV and it's not even able to turn on because you're incapable of walking, and then you end up like that dude that just died, Hackman. You end up like him, where nobody cared about him, where he was in rigor mortis with his weird ass wife. That now you're on the news because there was clearly, you're just like, no one cares. And how many years was he in a fame zone? No one cares. No one cares. And no, you're not coming back, because that's how disgusting and disgraceful you will always be. So those doors are shut and nobody gives 2 shits. The only thing that you need to take a look at with those 2 is who did it, so that we can catch the string of the Democratic Party on who they were involved in with the Epstein list. Because that's how it works when you're in organized crime and you have no ethics or integrity. But that's not happiness. That's not happiness. So I'm not really sure where you come up with these ideas in your weird pea brain mind of what happiness is, because you're not living happiness.